I just recently picked this piece up at auction and I was so excited. I'm like, other than it has a outdated color of that hunter green, there's that beautiful glass in the front that you can share your collections. Inside, plenty of room. I mean, 3 spaces is amazing. But there's also storage in the bottom of it too, so you can tuck your extra collections away or other things you want to hide from others and put them down here. I do love the inside of this is already painted white, but there are some things that I'm noticing now that I have my hands on it. Like there's some huge gaps and they just stick right out. Once you paint something white, anything dark, like a hole like this, just sticks out. So your eye's kind of drawn there. So I don't want that to take away from anybody's collections that they might put inside. So I will go in and fill all these gaps in. Of course, making sure that the back is nice and secure. And then there's these plate racks. So I'm thinking that they're plate racks for whatever reason, but hopefully I can remove those because that's going to stop anything from laying level and be a bump that's going to be in somebody's way. And after further investigation, I do notice that the doors just don't close on their own. Somebody had put these magnets in there, but they don't even touch. They're not even touching the little piece on the door itself. They're just kind of there. Maybe they're in the wrong place. I'm not sure, but there's on the top and the bottom, and they just, yeah. So we're just going to go ahead and get these removed, and I'll figure something out at the end. And now that I really have my hands on my knobs, when I first saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, they're plastic. I think they're plastic, but that's no big deal. You can always change out knobs. But now that I have it in the shop, I really have my hands on it. I can feel the coldness of it, which tells me that they are glass. I'm going to need to look into why the drawers just don't easily pull out. There's a little bit of hesitation. They're a little wonky, so we'll have to figure out what's wrong with those. I have a love-hate relationship of flathead screws. The screwdriver never seems to stay in that little slit. So yes, all the hinges are put on with flathead screws, so this is going to be fun. So nice when Chris sees me struggling, going, why am I not using a power tool? I don't know. I really don't have the hand strength without laying this down to keep the drill up, to keep it level, to help get that screw off. So, okay, if he wants to help me, y'all never turn away help. Now, I think these are an afterthought. So I think they weren't probably maybe there originally. So I'm thinking if I just take something flat, a hammer, I should be able to pry these off. I know it may be too early to caulk already, but I cannot stand looking at the huge old gaps. And some of them are going to need a couple layers of caulk to fill them in. So I'm going to go ahead and start caulking already. Oh my gosh, how much better does that already look, getting all those gaps caulked. Now I need to let them dry because I wanted to paint over the caulk anyway, but oh my gosh, just 110% better not seeing those gaps. So I am not looking to get this all the way down to natural wood. The whole thing is painted. All I'm looking to do is scuff sand this piece. So I got 80 grit sandpaper. I don't know what paint's on here. I don't know if it's been painted multiple times until I get sanding. But that's my main purpose right now, is just to scuff sand it, give something for my new paint to grab onto. So while I'm sanding the door, you can see that the door actually got hit both sides. So it's just I think it's more particle than wood. So I'm going to need to do some Bondo to make that strong. So on both sides, as you see, it's just going to chip off, and you can see cardboard fibers or paper fibers. So we're going to be using some Bondo. And yes, it does have a smell, but we have a ventilated shop, luckily. And then once it hardens, you don't smell it anymore. So I just need a little little bit. So it's a putty, and then it has a hardener. So you see the ratio, you don't need very much of it. And then you just need to start mixing it together. And as soon as you start mixing it together, it starts to harden, so it works really fast. 5-10 minutes. Literally, minutes. I like it because of the dry time, and I like it because of its durability. And then I'll go find any other holes, like where those magnetic mechanisms were, and go ahead and get those filled in. I'm going to try to squish that underneath the layers there, in the hopes that it'll help glue it down, so you can see how it laid. But just going to let it sit off to the side and dry. So it's good and hard now, so I can go ahead and sand it. So I'll go ahead and sand where I took the board off, where I filled in the holes from the magnetic. There was a little gouge here. So we'll see what I can get sanded. So many of you are wondering, why have I not laid this piece down? Just the way it's easier to get into certain areas while I was standing up, but now I can work on it laying down. Now that I had it laying down, I made up some more Bondo. You can see all these huge cracks. I didn't try to fill those in with caulks, especially since it was standing up. This is on the very back of it, so I'm just going to fill in a generous ports. I mean, you can fill in some smaller cracks with paint, but some of these are quite large. I think the wood over time has just split. It's an older piece that just needs those to be filled in, because you don't want to see those. Now let's see why these are a little bit on the wonky side. I was trying to sand off some of the paint on the back, but that's as much as I could get off because it's, you know, that press board stuff. But yes, they're lined up perfectly, but as you see, they are a little bit wonky because they're missing a screw. They're loose. They have flathead screws. I am not going to be putting flathead screws back in there. I'm going to actually pair up some different screws that will just stay in there nice and tight. Yes, they're just not tight enough for whatever reason. They've been changed out because they were loose or what have you. So let's get these tightened up, and I think they should be good to go. So much for just repainting a piece. Yes, until you really start taking a piece apart and really getting to study it and get your hands on there, you think, okay, just painter, it's going to be beautiful. Painter, get her some updated paint. It'll be wonderful. That it seems like it's never the case for me. But anyway, I'm just cleaning this off with some Dawn dish soap and some hot water. So I wanted to be able to spray this with some shellac. I have so many. There's at least 3 layers of paint, raw wood. It was kind of a gummy paint, so it might have even been like a latex. I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and tape off and then put some copier paper to cover up the whole window. So I'm going to seal this in just because of all the wood, the paint, the other paint with shellac. So I'm actually going to do some spray primer in the inside. I want to repaint it white. I've got raw wood, I've got multiple paints, and then I have the Bondo. So I'm actually going to seal it in with some Zinsser primer because it's white, and it'll help me cover, and then I can still paint it with a regular paint. I just want to be able to like get a good coverage on all those spots because there's quite a few of them. I really wanted to use the chest tire from the January vintage collection, bespoke, but I've already used it all up. I have more on order, but I'm not going to wait for it to come. I'm going to get this painted because I sold a couple pieces of furniture, so I need some furniture in my booth. So I'm going to do pantry door. So I'm going to do a couple scoops of that. I'm going to do 3. And then I'm going to add birdie, which will darken it up a little bit and take like just a hair. The fun about this is you can mix them and see what you get. Scoops in there, so that means I need 4 scoops of water, and this is just tap water, room temperature. I don't know, with the birdie in there, it might look a little bit like the Cheshire. A little bit, yeah. A little. And then I'm not going to really look for any chippy or anything like that. That's just way too much hunter green, dark green. So I'm going to use some of the Extra Bond. I know that I shellacked it, but I really just like that second layer of protection here. So this is going to help it bond. So half of what I have. So I have 4 scoops of powder, 4 scoops of water. So it should be 4 scoops Extra Bond. I guess you can just play with it. But usually it says half your mixture. And I might have needed another cup, but that's okay. I'm good. I'm good. And the Extra Bond does do what it says. It helps it stick. But you don't get any cracking. So if you're looking for cracking, get your Extra Bond on first, and then go ahead. Don't mix up as much as I'm doing, but go ahead and then mix up some without Extra Bond, and then you can get some cracking that way. You just won't go all the way down to what the green paint is. So I'm going to start off with my windows, my things that I have to flip. I have to flip over. Now your first coat is going to go on, and it's going to look a little translucent between my spray of my shellac and the bonder being on there. I will get like this grabby feeling, which is a good feeling. That means the paint is going to adhere onto it. So now for the inside, probably going to flip it a couple, lay it back down, but for right now, I'm going to try to get the most with some Fusions Pick and Fence. It's probably going to take my whole can. And I'm actually doing a roller because there's a lot of surface area on the inside of this. So I'll get all I can with the roller, then go back in with a brush. I'm not going to try to get the roof, the top, the top part, roof, until I lay it back down, because it'll just be easier that way to get at that part. I'm waiting for the inside to dry. I can do some of the sides. So that's what I will do. Go on to my second coat, I'm going to take my mister bottle, mist my object down, my door down there. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply my paint. It's going to take 3 coats. It's a light color, and I'm covering up that dark green, but my last coat, I'm going to mix up some without bonder. I decided that I want to have some crackle. A little bit of crackle at that last coat. Not necessarily will you see it, but it'll have to, like, once I wax it, hopefully you'll see it. Because the bonder is on there. So I let everything dry overnight with the 3 coats. So now I'm going to go in with some polyacrylic and seal my milk paint in before finishing off the piece. Okay, now you can see that there's some bumps from probably not getting the milk paint mixed in all the way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some sandpaper and I'm just going to distress it a little bit, smooth out any of those bumps and see what we get. Okay, now that I've sanded it, I'm going to seal everything back in. I know that I polyacrylic it. I love that double line of defense, and I like that when I polyacrylic it, it protects it from all like sanding off because I love to distress it. I've got some crackles going on, so I'm going to reseal it in that whatever polyacrylic came off with some clear wax. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with this hardware. So I don't see any reason why I can't just, I think the brass looks okay. I thought about tarnishing it, but I think the brass looks okay. So I'm just going to replace it. Bought this cabinet, I thought that these were plastic, but after taking them off, feeling that they're cold to the touch where plastic usually isn't, they are actually glass. So I was happy to know that, other than cleaning off some paint that was on them. I'm just going to put them back on because the screws match to change them, and I think the sizing for them is wonderful. Unfortunately, there's no good spot for those. So it's just something to keep the door closed. So wouldn't it be nice if a furniture piece you just had to paint it? I don't know. I think there's a reason why it is for sale. It's out there. Yeah, so I love the way that this turned out. It's a classic. It's a cottagecore farmhouse, whatever you want it to be. It's got that yummy storage in the top so you can see your collections on display, and then you have the cabinetry underneath so you can store some more of your collections and change them out, or you can use it for any other storages you want. So I absolutely love how this piece turned out. It was worth the time. It's always worth the time to fix it and make it look almost brand newish. So thanks for watching today's video, and we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.